Bryce Young is going to be my top quarterback on the board. So let's get into my top 5 quarterbacks in this year's NFL draft. I start with the Alabama signalman, Bryce Young. I said this all the way back when they played Texas this year. This guy is and should be the number 1 pick. He's so good. When you watch him on film, he's obviously a distributor. He's accurate. The ball comes out. He's like a ninja, man. I mean, it's just like, boom, like quick release. His chest can be pointed at the target. He doesn't even need his throwing shoulder or his opposite shoulder pointed. He doesn't have to press the ball back. His feet are amazing. He's got so much poise. He's got great leadership. He's really good in clutch moments. Bryce Young's a terrific player, so he's my number 1 quarterback on the board this year. Number 2 is kind of a no-brainer as well, C.J. Stroud, quarterback for Ohio State. I've obviously been around C.J. a lot in his career so far, covered him a great deal at Ohio State. He is very accurate. He's worked hard. He's been a really good leader for Ohio State. And I think that we saw a side of him, albeit in a loss to Georgia, but we saw a side of him and a competitiveness out of him that maybe we hadn't seen before in that last game. And I think that is that's going to carry some weight with scouts. CJ Stroud is a heck of a player. Heck of a player. This is, though, when you get 3 to 5 is where I think it really gets interesting, because most of us who cover the draft are going to have the same guys up there at 1 and 2 and probably going to have the same order. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. But then it gets interesting. And it gets interesting because, at least in my estimation, not in everybody's, but in my estimation, there's a pretty sizable gap between those two, who I feel like are NFL-ready players, and then the rest of the quarterbacks in the draft. That doesn't mean that there's not talented guys available. It just means that there is a gap. Because there's a gap, I immediately go to okay, I'm viewing it in different tiers now. And so if I don't need a guy that's absolutely ready to play in the NFL, I've got to go with traits and I've got to go with upside. So with that being said, my number 3 quarterback available in this year's draft is going to be Anthony Richardson from Florida. Anthony Richardson is so talented. He is explosive. He's got a great arm strength, and he's the type of guy that, yes, is raw, and there's things that need to be refined. But you can kind of sense that, let's just say, for example, he's a Rubik's Cube. Okay? Now, is he close to being solved or complete? Probably not. Is he like 2 or 3 turns away from being complete? Probably not. But if you can complete that Rubik's Cube, if you can complete Anthony Richardson, he's got the traits that would make him one of the best players in the entire league because of his size, his speed, his arm strength. This guy is the total package. He would be the best player on the field if you could figure it out, if you could unlock him. Is it going to take some time? Probably. There's a lot of things that need to go right. There's a lot of rough edges that need to get refined. His decision-making, his accuracy really are the 2 most prominent ones that I think need to get fixed. But if they can get fixed, man, this guy's a dynamo, man. I mean, he is a better version of Josh Allen, right? He's a better version of Jalen Hurts. And in a day and age, by the way, that we've seen in the last few years, a lot of quarterbacks that most of us said were a bit of a project, and they've worked. In the past, projects didn't really work out in the National Football League, but they have of late. I thought Herbert was a bit of a project. He's worked for the Chargers. I thought Josh Allen was a bit of a project and had accuracy issues, albeit a strong arm. Look at what he's done with the Buffalo Bills. Patrick Mahomes was a project coming out of Texas Tech. Jalen Hurts was a project. Justin Fields, they thought, had some rough edges. He's starting to be refined. Lamar Jackson had some rough edges. He's one of the best players in the entire league. So it's working. So people are having success with these guys that might not be complete players coming out of college. That's the reason I've got Anthony Richardson at number 3. So then when you go on from there, my next two guys, at number 4, I'll go with Will Levis. I'm not terribly excited about Will Levis, but he does have some traits. Not nearly Richardson style or level traits, but he does have some traits. He's got a strong arm. And then at number 5, I know he's injured and he's got to come back from this, but I've got Hendon Hooker. Love his disposition. He was so good before he got injured this year for Tennessee. The offense does give me a bit of pause because of the offense that he was running at Tennessee. But more on that as we kind of go along. But there they are, my top 5 quarterbacks available in the 2023 NFL Draft. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson from Florida, Will Levis, and Hendon Hooker. Remember when all those people were like, you're an SEC hater? Okay.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.